So I'm in my car, and it's not. It's reversed. It's backwards. So I have a problem with the videos being like this in a mirror on my phone because it's not accurate. Actually, my hair is. I'm sure. Sorry, I get kind of like I see myself in a reflection. Just I have my hair parted in the middle today, so it's because I just didn't really just wanted to get it done. So anyway, um, I I don't wear my glasses that much either. This is my second day wearing them. I usually like in between contacts to do this now, and it can feel nice on my eyeballs a little bit. But anyway, getting texts. So I it's just sort of a rant, but I want to make it quick. I think I want to make this more positive than anything. Okay, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't choose to eat well, and it's relative for people, and it's very different. Some people have less tolerance for certain types of foods. I like to. I've been doing steaks every day, and I do mangoes, and sometimes I switch it up. Like I had sushi this past weekend, Saturday, and I like to I like Mexican food and stuff like that. But anyway, I am active. Actually, I was going to take a walk, but I decided I'm going to do this right now. Um, I still want to take a good walk because I'm kind of just want to rest other things and not do any kind of strenuous exercise. Body weight exercise is what I do. See, that's a good thing to do. Exercise. You want to eat well. You get to get proper sleep. You know, you have to get the rest that you know you need for your body. It can be different. Some people just need like about 6 hours, or which is not me. I mean, even seven is like 7 to 8. I would say right about 8 if I'm going to bed at a good time, which isn't too often because I you know like to cram in some things and do a few things before I go to sleep. But all this to say, because I can get in some details about stuff. I had a little bit of a. I'm getting texts. Um, I'm getting texts, and okay, and that's not when I'm getting distracted. I made a choice to uh, to go to the emergency room. This is back in March, and I regret that. And I'm not going to get in all details. I'm doing fine, by the way. It's like there's nothing going on. I'm almost certain. Almost certain. We never know fully. That's the thing. But I feel great, and I do good things for myself, and I've been active for many years. I've been hitting the gym since like very late '90s. I've been even though I stopped doing the paid gym in sorry guys, in 2020. I think it was the year 2020. Well, yeah, it was in 2020. It was in April of 2020. The next month following the send off from work to go do remote work at home, and I've been doing remote work ever since for the particular employer I've agreed to work for. And it's all in agreement. We all agree to do these things, right? We're only slaves if we choose to be slaves, right? Of these things, that is. Ultimately, we just want to be slaves of righteousness. Um, and God is righteous. But at any rate, I am very displeased with the medical system. And this is what this is about. This is all health centric. Want to be positive, positive reinforcement. God's created our bodies. We want to be good stewards of what He's given us. and that includes, eating the right things. The body's not made for food. Food's meant for the body, so we want to have the right perspective and not get all hung up. But sometimes we know we have to do some extra work, so we're going to think a bit more about ourselves. And I tend to think a bit about health and personal health. I'm very interested in a lot of that for years, on a somewhat superficial level at times, but other times it goes a little deeper. You know, I can get into an argument about why I like drinking water out of glass bottles. Some people still don't get that. Some people still trust the system and drink tap water. I digress. So, anyway, I did go to emergency room because I felt some cramping. Okay, and what it came down to is an indigestion thing. Okay, I won't get into all the details. And I remember I wasn't incorporating my mineral water and some mangoes for a couple days. I was kind of like really low on that, and I just wasn't going to the store for it. And these are some elements that are important for my own my own diet. Basically, is what it is. It's a diet. And I was freaked out because I was cramping. It was not pleasant, and that's basically all the problem was. Is I needed to go, and so it was an embarrassing thing. I'm not gonna get into details. I'm kind of just finally doing it now, just because I'm really ticked off about getting yet another bill. And I'm telling you guys, they will bill you even for a doctor's note. I was recommended to this office not too far from me on South Harlem. I feel like doxing it. Oh boy, do I feel like doxing it. And I didn't even see the guy, and I don't know this person, but I went into this office in order to get a note because the employer that I agreed to work for asked for a doctor's note. Okay, so I was talking to the hospital I was at, and they said, "Oh, we don't do doctor's notes," which is really sounds really retarded. Actually, that doesn't make any sense. So what they do is say, "Well, you can go here on this place on South Harlem." Okay, I'm near Harlem Avenue, sort of. I'm closer to First Avenue, whatever. Um, those who know, they know. Okay, not all of you are gonna know what I'm talking about. And so, I get this note. It actually takes like over 10 minutes. I'm like waiting, or maybe under 10 minutes. So I get that note, take a picture of it, text it to my, you know, superior, my manager person, and that was it. But now this is back in that was March 14th that I got that note, and I ended up spending a couple nights in this hospital. By the way, turned into a big hullabaloo and doing a few tests while I was back. Really again, I'm talking back about that hospital experience, and it's crazy. I try to work out this bill because I think there's things I'm charged for that I shouldn't be charged for, and it's great. There's this guy right here now. He's standing out there, smoking, lean on his car. That's great. You might not see it on here, anyway. But I am. So I'm getting a little distracted by this guy. He might not know that I'm here in my car. Welcome to the public, and no expectation of privacy. Sometimes I digress. So you know, again, take care of yourself, guys. Don't end up. What I should have done was just taken a very simple type of thing to drink or whatever. It would have worked out just fine. And I didn't do that. Someone in my home, recommended this, and without getting into details, and I didn't take that advice. So this led to a circus, yes, uh, a comedy of errors, because you know at at the end of the day, I just needed to get this I needed to go. You know what I mean? Sorry if it sounds cryptic. Just listen to the back of this talk. I'm just trying not to get real descriptive. It was so simple, and so I was ready to go. They wouldn't. They're saying you can't be just discharged. You just can't go because at I was already became an inpatient for a couple hours, and then I agreed to have this simple thing that made me feel tons better. Everything went away, the aching, and all this stuff. But what happened was I told people when I in the hospital when I get in there that um, my dad has something that I just found out about, and that I also have a little bit of a disc thing I deal with my L5S1. So then after that, after saying that, they want to do tests. They do X-ray, they do a CT scan. Before that, they did an ultrasound and all this stuff, and they think they see a big mass. But what they see is me full of crap, literally. And I think that's, you know, it's just so absurd. So, and I get fear mongered into even getting a biopsy, and I didn't do it. But the following day, after they're telling me I can't leave from the hospital, they're telling me that I would, this one doctor was assigned to me saying I'd have to do a biopsy. And what that for, and I'll might get into different detailed video about that, but I'll just say it's for the prostate, okay? And that was a scare because of what I heard about a family member. And so I agreed to. It's like, okay, let's do it. And it's all because she was fearing this could be a large cancerous mass, what we saw. But yet still, I'm saying, well, it was just what it was. It was constipated, guys. Okay, I'll just use the word. It was embarrassing, but all this stuff happened because I mentioned that there was an illness in a close family member, and still alive. Thank the Lord for that. And guess what though? They wanted me to get a biopsy, and that's the same thing that leads to metastasis. And I'll just say, if you get a prostate biopsy, you're basically puncturing the walls of the prostate where the cells would be in. So even if one has it, they're not going to always die from it. They're usually not going to die from it unless they get a biopsy, which releases the cancerous cells into the bloodstream, which reaches other organs, and that's where you have metastasis, and that will kill you. But in the vast majority of cases of men who get diagnosed and there's a finding of something of cancer, typically they don't actually die from it. They might die from something else that they have to should have been taken care of too, like a heart disease issue. So anyway, it just the whole thing is just a mess. I was thinking before I did this video, would I just be really ranty and stuff and just say doctors suck. Some doctors are nice, like they're good at what they do, but it's despite the system, despite the education that they got in medical school, which by the way is run. Uh, it is an institution created by very selfish, money-loving, oligarchical people, namely Rockefeller back in the day, like I guess over 100 years ago. I just watched a video fear mongering people who would say it was they made it was a movie made by the American Medical Association, which is created by Rockefeller to it was and it was put out by the National NIH Library. Okay, and they're basically in the description of the video they use the word quack as well. It supported the narrative of this propaganda that was released in 1959 against those who would point to food and very natural things as medicine for you. I'm not kidding. that is evil, that is twisted, that is like pseudoscience, and they call the movie The Medicine Man, connecting it with like savage witch doctors and shamans of old tribes from hundreds of years ago or something, like archaic uh, you know pagan groups or something, like attaching it to all of that stuff. And it's crazy, but it continues today. It continues today. And so we wonder, and one can wonder why so many in this country are dying from cancer. It's because the medical system is designed to fleece you and to make those who are in charge more wealthy. It's not designed to help you. And I'm getting to get yet another bill for just over 167 bucks, and so it's like 167 some change. I didn't. I A while ago I was prepared. I was thinking I would do a video and have details and go into all that, but I think I already gave maybe enough detail as I want to give, really, without being incredibly like obvious. And it's like, well, look at me. I had this simple issue. Can't go to the bathroom, and so all this pain and this led to this worry. It was very unique, never to be repeated again. That's like this maybe just second or third time I've ever been to a emergency room in my whole life, and I hope it will be the last. Actually, we all do, we all do. But I'm telling you guys, some of you might have issues. I think it might be related to what you eat. I think there is some serious illness out there. Some people are pretty far gone, and at this point, there's medical intervention that's needed. But for many of us, it's what we're eating. For all of us, it's what we're eating still, even if we're close to in this maybe terminal condition. If some of you are in a terminal condition, still there's things that you can change to at least make the rest of your time more comfortable and actually feel relatively better, though it's near the end of the road. Ultimately, God is in control, and I trust God. But I just want to say, I mean, it's going to be a bit of a pain to pay back. Altogether, it's like over, it's definitely over $7,000 I will have to pay. It looks like that's going to happen. I wrote a really extensive letter. I went back and forth on the phone like 4 times. Once a week, I call billing, and then I reached out to this one gal who was in patient relations, and she instructed me to write a letter, and that there would be a panel of doctors and so on, or what have you, to look and do an investigation. When what happened was, just this past Monday, I get a call about someone setting up some kind of financial, getting some kind of government insurance, which I make I make a little bit more than the poverty window. I make more than what would allow me to get government healthcare, and I don't want that. This is the 1 year. This is the real kicker too. This is the 1 year that I declined to get insurance coverage, and I feel really bad about that. So that's a lesson too. If you can get insurance through your employer, just keep getting it, even though it might cost a bit each check. For me, I'm paid by weekly, bi-weekly, and I have to pay 85. I was paying 85 and some change. And looking back, I mean, if I knew, if I got informed about this relative having, a very late stage, like metastasized cancer, I would have not declined insurance. I would have done it. So, um, is what it is. You know, you something happens, and I was scared. I didn't know what to do, and I had this bad cramp. You know, this one morning, it was on March 13th. This is we're in 2025 now, and it led to this succession of events that you can't take back. It is what it is. I could do is pray for God to just from this point on just be um, really budgeting well so that I can eventually, fully pay it off. I don't foresee myself paying off, 7,000 plus worth in bills for years. You know, it's going to be a long time. So those of you might be out there and are praying people who have faith in Christ, please, petition the Lord on my behalf. I'd appreciate that. I haven't been looking at the camera up there, but just looking at myself. But I, so this is still sort of a ranty video. A lot of doctors that are not educated in medicine, in like real natural medicine. They're educated in Rockefeller Medicine. They're educated in the snake oil salesman medicine. They're educated in because that's what Rockefeller did first. Like there's the family. What they first got into, I think, was doing like the quack stuff that they end up railing against, and that's ironic, but that's what they did. They ended up they started out as a thing that they eventually started an industry to make actual real doctors look like quacks. So I'm getting texts again. Um, I just got text that's insane because I was shared with her that I got that bill. It is wacky. Doctors suck. If you want to become a doctor, um, consider what people like. I'm going to say this loosely, but Paul Saladino. He's like a peer. He's like my age, but or just maybe about a year older than me. But he's a doctor who's not into alternative medicine, but he's into real medicine, which has a lot to do with what you're eating and the how having an active lifestyle. You know, and he used to call himself Carnivore MD, but he's been more flexible because there's more to it. You can't just. It's true. You can't just eat meat all the time. You have to. There is supplementation, and I've done supplementation from the beginning. There might have been a little time I didn't do it, a very short window. I wasn't supplementing, but I think I always was. So, I just a little bump in the road because of a couple key elements like having that mineral water and my mangoes. That was there was some natural fiber that and plus the magnesium in that water. That stuff was definitely helpful for me. And I happen to have this one right here. I have a box back there. I've been getting this because there's been a issue with the shipping. It's in reverse, but it's the Trader Joe's Italian sparkling mineral water. This one's a low mineral content, but it's pretty good. And I still need to take a walk, guys. It's like 7:10. Um, but I like this, and I'm gonna open it, and the satisfying fizz sound. Oh yeah, I could see it, and I saw the shoot out the side too. I don't know if it caught on camera. It's great. And again, I do this. It's in because it's in glass. I drink this because it's in glass, but I really acquired a taste for mineral water that's carbonated. You know, all this social media stuff. It is weird. It's heavily curated. And just by the fact I mentioned Rockefeller and stuff, I think I mean I am in some ways I'm already shadow banned, even though there's a lot of people who have great information. They don't even have like 500, or they're just doing something cool like music, and they don't have even 500 subscribers, but they have something to offer. A lot of people are shadow banned, and there's some people because they'll just get throttled so much by people that it just can't help but be recognized, and there'll be um, some things that will reflect at least a good measure of views. But all this stuff is curated. All this stuff, everything in your life is curated by people. Anything that you get from the public, it's especially medical, food information, everything on social media. It's not as free as you would like it to be. It is heavily manipulated. So we all have to be very careful what we take in. So me recommending that one doc, Saladino, that's take it with a grain of salt. But and there's Ken Berry, but he comes across as sort of a little bit of a jerk sometimes, to be honest. You know, and anyway, not that that's supposed to keep us from getting information, but it helps. It helps to have a decent personality. Because we're not supposed to be pretentious elitists. We want to be faithful to God. We want to be like Christ in what we do, because we have there is an imperative for all of us. There's a command from God, to love Him, and love others as ourselves. Okay. With the information that I have, I want to. Sometimes might be a little bit intense and a little bit forceful. I don't know. Maybe it's too soft. I don't know. Maybe I'm not serious enough about it sometimes to some people. Maybe it's not polished, but yet it's from the heart, and it's not like I'm pulling it out of the sky. Um, and maybe in articulating my experience, maybe not as best as it could be, or is understandable by some people. Maybe a little cryptic, but I'm trying. So I don't see anybody. There was like a few people who popped onto this live stream when I started. People I don't know saying hi, but whatever. Thank you, hello, and thank you. So I guess that's it. All right. So what I'm gonna do is take a walk. You know what? That's good because I don't want to be sedentary. Because sedentaryism leads to disease. When you're just still all the time, and with the job that I have, I could be sedentary for a while. And even if you're just standing and stuff, I that's why like every couple minutes or whatever, or maybe every 20 minutes, I just kind of walk around my room, the room that I'm in, or around the this living space I have. And there was a time I took a break to take a walk, especially when maybe the work wasn't as short, short walk. Um, like when COVID, they're being more sensitive because of all the craziness. Saying, hey, if you want to take a walk because you feel stuck inside because they had this mandate to send everybody home for work. It's like, well, that's fine. Then you take a walk for work. But I think you know employers and so forth should push physical activity, like as a if they have sedentary jobs, because there's a reason. We get caught up in all this information age and technology. We will end up being a slave to a desk, and then we can get sick. So it's like we got to think. We have to be active. We have to be conscientious about our own, what we're putting into our bodies, what we're putting into our minds. We want to be positive in our mind, in our thinking, and that's going to translate to our life. So the rest of our lives, and ultimately, having faith in the great physician who's able to guide us in all truth. You know, without fear, perfect love casts out all fear. We have to have no the love of God. All right, I'm gonna end it there because it was 30 minutes. So God bless you. Goodbye. Is this?